Hello, my name is Chris Judy, and this is the final reflection video for Decision Points 2 class. To me, there are two important legacies that came from the D-Day invasion. The first one was the sheer magnitude of the invasion. D-Day was the largest amphibious invasion the world had seen. The magnitude of the invasion came when the unloading of the beaches ceased. Nearly 175,000 American, Canadian, and British troops had entered Normandy, either by air or by sea, at the cost of 4,900 casualties. For the American airborne on the far right and the British airborne on the far left, the invasion stretched for more than 90 kilometers. Sheer numbers of aircraft involved were astonishing too. The Allies put 3,400 heavy bombers in the air, 1,600 medium bombers, 5,400 fighters in the air on D-Day. The air crews flew multiple missions that day to support the invasion force for pre-invasion bombing and close air support. The number of aircraft used are not the only astonishing show of force. The entire landing fleet included about 2,100 landing craft, plus various other transports, Coast Guard rescue boats, PT boats, blocking ships that would be sunk to create artificial harbors off of Gold and Utah Beach. The other legacy of D-Day was the beginning of the end of the war. The invasion was the Allies' way of gaining a foothold in France to push the Germans out. As the invasion force boarded their transports, they were given the order of the day. The order was given by Eisenhower, giving them encouragement about the upcoming invasion and what it meant for this point of the war. It stated that, but this is the year of 1944 and the tide has turned. The free men of the world are marching together to victory. Eisenhower was telling the troops the invasion was turning the tide of the war, that they were now on their way to victory. There are two major important legacies that came from defeating Japan. The Japanese were planning the defense of their homeland until the atomic bombs were dropped. And Frank stated that one of the remarks of the Japanese after the bombs was that the American invasion needed not land when it had a weapon like this. So at that point is when they decided it would be best to sue for peace. When dropping the two atomic bombs, the United States solidified their position at the top of the world powers as a force not to be reckoned with. And also at the end of the war, as part of the surrender, the Japanese had to change from a warrior society to a peaceful society. And the emperor also renounced his divine status and is now a state symbol instead of a divine being. One of the major aspects of D-Day that produced results for modern history is the Allies' use of airborne troops. The British and American paratroopers were able to secure major bridges, crossroads, and towns prior to the invasion to prevent German counterattack. They were successful in this aspect and proved that the airborne capability is a viable asset on the battlefield and it is still used to this day. The first major important aspect of the atomic bomb is it potentially saved lives. In Frank's book, Downfall, he talked about several different components leading up to the Japanese surrender. He stated that the atomic bomb played a more critical role because it undermined the fundamental premise that the United States would have to invade Japan to secure a decision. Military planners were preparing for the invasion of the mainland Japan, but some say that dropping the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki saved millions of Japanese and American lives by preventing the invasion. The second aspect came from the use of the atomic bombs, is that the Japanese started to take on a role of victimization. Japan would not talk about the atrocities that they committed in China or Southeast Asia, but Hiroshima and Nagasaki instilled the Japanese a sense of victimization. What Gilbert Roseman calls this is the Hiroshima syndrome. To me, one of the most important individuals that we covered in this course was Andrew Higgins. By the end of the war, more American fighting men went ashore on a Higgins boat than any other types of landing craft combined. When Stephen Ambrose was interviewing Eisenhower asked Ambrose if he ever met Andrew Higgins, and Eisenhower stated that he was the man that won the war for us.